for just sort of like organizing everything and just making this happen. Yeah, as I said, we're really excited to host this event. It's through connections through our organization. Shai Frank, our VP of product, has done a lot of work with Product X. So yeah, let's get on with the talk, and I'll stop talking about the intro. Cool. So what am I going to talk to you about today? So I'm going to talk to you about storytelling in product management. This is something I'm super passionate about and really like talking about. If you think about the role of products, it's like we're fundamentally trying to solve customer problems, like figure out customer problems. We're trying to like build stuff, like launch it, iterate it, and hopefully generate positive outcomes with the things that we do. But we can't do it in silos. Like, we're in an interesting role in the sense that we've got to work with like lots and lots of different stakeholders throughout the organization. And, we sort of need their support to make things happen. But in order to do that, you really need to get their alignment. You need to get their buy-in. They need to have confidence, like, in your story and what you're trying to do into the outcomes. And they also need to be motivated to go and do the stuff that you effectively want them to do to get your product out there. And you do that, and you need to get these people, they need to be excited, they need to believe, they need to be inspired. But there's also this concept as well that you need to have like a shared purpose, in the sense that you're all working together, solving problems, generating outcomes, and so on. And the key way that you can do that to inspire your team is through storytelling. Right, who's seen these films? Are we all familiar with these characters?
Yes.
Cool. My daughter is 4 years old. We're in a really big Disney princess phase at the moment. We've got all the dresses, we've been to Disneyland and so on. And we watch these films like, 50 times every weekend, and just on repeat. But at the heart of like children's tales, we're trying to sort of like inspire children to think about the future, think about how they develop, think about who they're going to be. And the Disney films do like a really, really good job with that. Like, as you think about Mulan's all about like sort of confidence and just sort of inspiration. Frozen is about like, sort of accepting who you are. There's this like line in it where like Elsa, for example, goes, God, I forgot it, but she ultimately just like lets it go. Encanto is, I was practicing this line over and over. It conceal, don't feel, put on a show, but she lets it go. Cool, I got there at the end. Yeah. So Encanto, it's all about family dynamics, but like the thing about Mirabelle is like she has a gift, and her gift is about holding the family together. And Moana is all about driving behind an idea even when people doubt you. And so these stories are like a really good way of like inspiring people, making them think about what they can do and who they are, and sort of inspiring them to think about their future. What stories do I like? Well, I am a big football fan. And I love the stories that you get within sport, like the dynamics around that. Football's not just about 11 people like running around kicking a ball. Like, there's plans, there's tactics, there's like strategy and so on. But to get people to really buy into that strategy, you need to inspire them. Ange Postecoglou is like a really good motivator. And what he did before the Europa League final was he told the players a story that this is more than them. Like, you're doing it for the fans. You're doing it for those like Tottenham fans like me that have spent 17 years complaining about not having a trophy. And that story in Bilbao as well is a story that will continue to repeat for like eons and eons and eons, so that will bore everyone to death with. And then if you think about like wrong way. And you think about like stories, like they're everywhere. Like, and there's so many people as well that like inspired us and like changed us and changed the way that we think. Like, it's almost a cliche to talk about Steve Jobs at a tech meetup, but he really changed the way that we think about products in terms of storytelling. Rosa Parks, for example, like through her bravery, through her acts of defiance to like sort of like the status quo, inspired people to do like to the civil rights movement. Since becoming middle-aged, I've become like a centrist politics dad, love the rest of politics, but they always talk about the stories that politicians need to tell to really inspire like people to vote for them. I bet we all know who this guy is, Lenny. We probably all listen to his podcast. We probably think, oh, that's really cool. I should try that. Maybe I should do this thing. This feels a bit too good to be true, but it's very, very sort of inspirational in terms of like how we think and how we develop our craft. So, wrong way. I will learn this clicker, I promise. So storytelling is a way for all of us to really inspire and motivate our teams. I recommend you go and check out like Petra Ville. Like, she inspired me to tell this story. She has a really good blog, a really good sort of like story about how you can craft your story. Guess how many times I'm going to say story today. But like it's what I want to do today is not sort of regurgitate her story where she talks about the craft and the hero journey and like getting confidence and so on. I want to sort of give you an overview in terms of like how you can speak and tell your story to the particular stakeholders that you have to work with like on a daily basis. So give you an overview in terms of like the cross-functional teams, senior stakeholders, product marketing, customer-facing teams and customers. So you can craft your story and work with these people, get alignment and get positive outcomes. So first, the why. And this is like one of the core parts of our job. This is about really inspiring your cross-functional team to work together. This is like your designers, your engineers, the people that you work on a day-to-day basis. And when you see sort of like chaos and like things going not so well, it's because of like misalignment and people don't understand the story and there's not buy-in. So when you think about this group, for example, and these people that you're working with on a day-to-day basis, people like engineers, they don't want to be feature factories, right? They just don't want to be like picking up Jira tickets. When the team understands the why, what they're doing, the outcomes they're driving, they've got their belief, they're solving problems, not just building features. So when you think about the story that you're crafting, like this is the foundational work that you do through your research, product, your PRDs, and you really need to articulate like what kind of jobs are your customer doing? What's their pain point? Why are we even looking at this now? What are the outcomes? But how does this align with our future? I really recommend just like repetition, because you need to really embed that story. You need to get people like, go up to someone like, what's their story? What are we doing? But you also need to sort of tell them how the story is evolving. And I feel like when you're working with your team as well, like sometimes you hear these concepts in organizations where, oh, it's product or engineering or design or no one's really talking. But then make the team feel part of the story by involving them in the creation. When you're writing documents, writing research, just chuck them to your engineers. What do you think? Got any opinions on this? And this will then help everyone get buy-in and get alignment. So what I'm going to do is just show you some examples. And these are some of the stuff that we're doing at Optimove. So we're launching a new product called Embedded Messaging. And, we were sort of thinking about like, here's like a sort of, it's like a rough story that you can tell about it in terms of being able to create a way for marketers to engage their customers with personalized messages on their web app using Optimove. Yeah, it sort of says what we want to do, but, people aren't going to run through walls to like go and execute this. So, and this probably comes up. So what we need to do is to really think about, okay, what are the components? So how do we articulate the components that I just taught to you before? So like we talk about like what the marketers are trying to do, like what are your customers trying to do? What are the challenges they have? One of the challenges is consistency. Okay, cool. So they're trying to do this and it's inconsistent. Okay, so if we believe that we can get marketers to embed personalized experiences directly on their digital properties powered by Optimove, which by the way is really good at personalization, orchestration, all that good stuff, we can improve customer engagement, make money for our customers, and we open up a new revenue stream for Optimove. The competitors are already doing this. We get clients and prospects saying, we need this. And so and then what we then do is align it to our strategy and where we're going. This is foundational to the positionless marketer vision. Go and follow our founder, Pinny. This is the movement that we're trying to create. But what this does, it allows a seamless creation of dynamic cross-channel personalization to be natively integrated into owned assets. So a bit more of a compelling story. I hope your team's running through walls when they start hearing this. And the team can then think about, okay, what's my role to play? How are we going to do this? How are we going to think about the outcomes? So next step, get your team aligned, you've got your story. You then need to go and talk to your senior stakeholders about it. At Optimove, what we do a lot of sort of like, we want to share ideas, we want to share product developments, we want to tell people what we're doing, we want to get them aligned. We do a lot of work with Shai, for example, our VP of product. He's really interested in what we're doing. He wants to like challenge our thinking, making sure that we do the right things. He loves to play devil's advocate in these meetings that we have with him to just sort of make sure that we're thinking the right way and we've considered all the trade-offs. So when you're talking about these senior stakeholders, this is really the core thing is to like identify the needs of this particular audience. What the senior stakeholders want, they want to have confidence in your decisions, confidence in your thinking, confidence that you're making the right bet. And so when you talk about the story with your senior stakeholders, think about like the value to the organization, the outcomes. You need to make sure you're aligned with the parts of the organization because they'll go and talk to other people. Oh, have you heard about this? Have you heard about this? You need to make sure that you've done the groundwork to make sure your engineers believe it, your designers believe in it, and so on. I think you also need to sort of make sure that you consider trade-offs. What are the other options? What's A versus B? And I think with senior stakeholders as well, it's really about like an investment in resources. if you think about like everything that your team does, every minute they spend is like an allocation of time and resources. So they need to have confidence that you're spending it in the right way, that you're making the right decisions. And then you can think about your plan, like what are the value slices that we do want to do, what are the stage gates that we want to have in order to prove the value and to demonstrate that we're on the right direction, and if we need to course correct. You might get pushback on your story. They might say it's wrong, we don't agree with this. So you might need to iterate on your story, think about it, optimize it, but this is a chance for you to learn, prove your mettle as a PM, and like really focus on your story. So if you think about some of the like trade-off discussion is like a classic one that we often have here. Should we do A versus B? Especially in like B2B SaaS, you have like loads and loads of things you want to do. So the conversation goes that we want to build an integration. We can either do a single integration, or we could do like a much bigger strategic piece to allow people to plug into us. You know, might do the shorter one, we might onboard a client pretty quickly. But if we do this, we then have to do the same work all over again. What I'm trying to say to here as well, this story is quite weak because it's a bit like, what do you think I should do? When you go to stakeholders, it's really about like saying, considering about the trade-offs, considering about the opportunities, and come to them with a position, like a recommendation. It might challenge that, but at least come to your stakeholder with the confidence of the direction that you want to go. So if you think about like the story that I'm trying to tell about this like API that we want people to integrate in or unlock some other products, you say that, look, our goal is we want to get more people partnered with us. We want people integrating with us. We want more customers using this. If we do this in a scalable way, we get more partners this year, get more customers, and we can grow adoption, which is a core strategic goal. Always call out the strategic goal and what you're trying to do, generate revenue. And then go firm up your approach with your partners and your customers, like validate it as well. Make sure the story is validated and your proof points. And you can say to them, like, we've spoken to several of these providers who confirmed they'll integrate with our methodology as soon as it's been built. So this story, you're coming with a position, you're coming with an evidence, and you're coming with recommendation. Stakeholders go, cool, you've got the trade-offs covered, let's go and do it. Well, not, yeah, maybe not, but yeah, that's the sort of the theory. Cool, product's being built, everyone's aligned, stakeholders are happy. Now you need to think about bringing the story to the market and working with like product marketing. How are you going to get the story that you've worked with your team out there? How are you going to get people to listen to it? How are you going to make people aware of it? So, in my belief, like the way that I really like to work is that product really owns the story of the product that you're building, but also the product that you're trying to drive adoption of. Because if you think about it, it's your idea. This is the story that you've created with your team. And if you believe that this is like an outcome that should be delivered, then you should be really invested in driving adoption and working with your product marketing teams to make sure that happens, or your sort of marketing and your marketing teams as well. So if you think about the story, and when I talk about all these stories, like the first story, the why is like the foundational piece. It's sort of like the story of all stories. But when you're thinking about product marketing, you think about, okay, why are we different? Why should customers care? How does this story relate to what your customer's trying to do? So you think about marketing positioning, like making people think this is cool and stuff. And you really want to inspire and support product marketing and scaling the story. Like you own the story for your product, but then you need to like sort of get people to really sort of like get it out there. So if we think about like, and this is like a product that we're actually going to be launching, and this is like a story that we've iterated on as well. So we launched this product with embedded messaging. Embedded messaging allows people to like deliver personalized dynamic experiences to their website. So when you go to a website, it's like, hey, Ignatius, like maybe you'd like this, like, you know, sort of blue shirt. So what we said with the original story, we were talking about the technology, we were talking about the implementation, and we were talking about the ease of implementation. But when we took a step back, we realized, no, this story's quite boring. Like, there's no differentiation in the customer, like, you know, our competitors do the same thing. Like they have this ability to sort of like deploy this stuff and edit it. There's no differentiation here. And it's really like tech and implementation focused. The way that you then want to evolve your story is think about like, you know, the tagline, the message, like how could you sum this up in like one sentence? So we came up with this story about like sort of evolving the story, like product personalized communication at scale at the heart of the customer experience. And then we talk about like the components of this new tool that we're building, like personalized content, banners, notifications, and the differentiation. It's Optimove, it's incredible technology is powering this. And then what you then do as well is you sort of call out the vision, call out the strategy, and you get people excited behind this. And you can see how the sort of the story evolves, where you think about something that's like a bit bigger than the sort of a simple implementation, but how is it going to speak to our customers and how it's really going to speak to the market? And then one of the other stakeholders, one of the most critical stakeholders that you need to work with as well, are your customer-facing teams. So in our case, we work very closely with like customer success and so on. What they need is confidence in your story. Slide. Because not only do your customer-facing colleagues need to be inspired, but they need to believe. Like they need to proof that the story is working. They need evidence. They need use cases. They need metrics, data, and quotes. They need to feel confident that the story is right. And this applies to any industry. But when you're communicating with your customers, there's like an inherent risk because, for example, in our customer success, they want to go and speak to their clients with trust, with confidence that the story that they're telling them is going to be right, with their proof points. Any marketing message as well, there needs to be that belief in it because it's like reputational risk if this doesn't quite work out. So if you think of like a typical customer success story, you've just launched new products and yay, some data, like 20 clients have purchased the products, 10 have adopted it, 100,000 messages being sent through it. But what's really going on? Well, and this is the thing that excites people and proof points, and they can go and tell their clients, like, this thing actually works, you should use it. So you tell a story about like use cases. So this product's been integrated with multi-channel campaign. They're using it for a time limited sale event with the following outcomes. We've got metrics better than our previous metrics. And then we've got a nice juicy quote to like add that real human aspect to it. So people can go like, oh, I know this guy, I know this company. Wow, this company's doing this thing. It's really cool. It works. And then finally, you need to make your customers a part of the story. And what do I mean by that? So your story, who's the main protagonist? Like who's the main sort of actor in it? It's your customer. They're the primary character in your story. We work a lot with our customers. They give us feedback. They give us like, we want to work together. We want to partner with them. And so when you're sort of dealing with your customers, you really need to tell about like, okay, where's the story going? What's the direction of travel? What's the vision? Like, what are we doing? But ultimately, what the customer's role is in the story. The customers often have their own story and needs. Like they might want a particular feature, they want a button. It might not quite align to what you're doing. So you need to think about, okay, how can we align and like merge the stories together? Roadmap requests might not quite be part of your story. So you really need to take them on a journey with you. So, and this happens like a lot in sort of like B2B where you've got customers, you've got feedback, you've got sales saying like, hey, and they go, oh, we want this button, like we want this button now, this button has to be built. And you're like, okay, and you can say to them, hey, thanks, but no thanks. It doesn't align with our future roadmap, so we're not doing it. Not a good story, kills the relationship, not good look on you, not good look on the company, etc. So what I really, really believe in is that like you partner with your customer, you work with them, you co-create the story. And then you sort of turn their feature into like, you think about the feature and the bigger like story of what you're trying to achieve. So for example, you can tell them a story like, yeah, thanks for your feedback, the button, super relevant. This really like aligns with a key part of our roadmap. Like we're working to innovate in this space. Like over the next blah, blah, blah months, we're trying to revolutionize, we're trying to give you more control, flexibility over whatever feature you've asked for. And what you need to tell them is like, okay, we're thinking about optimizing this problem and iterating here in ways that you've never thought about. And then what I love to do as well is like make customers part of that experience, like take them on a journey, involve them in product development, get their feedback, give you an update on how that story is progressing. And there's all this story that I love to talk to customers. It's about like, when you win, we win. We build something better together. And then you're sort of like telling this story together. You're writing your chapters together. Like you're the author and the customer is the main character. And you're writing this beautiful story that's incredible literature that wins awards. So just to finally say, one thing that we all need to do, if you want to be good at product, is maybe it's a bit too bold, but like one thing I recommend that you all do is to think about how you listen to stories. Because it's not just about telling stories, it's about listening to your customer stories, it's about listening to people's stories. I talked right at the start of the presentation about customer problems. How do you go to those customer problems? You need to listen to the stories, you need to get people to tell their stories. That's a discussion for another day, more about product discovery and those sort of research techniques, but it's a key skill as well. So just some final points to just finish off with. Like, I just want to share with you some storytelling principles. Storytelling is not about making something up. Like, this is not about sort of like, oh, I want to get my own way. I'm just going to tell this like blah, 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 blah story, paint a rosy picture, and hopefully everyone will agree with me. No, it needs to be backed up by like evidence, data, and research. There needs to be some foundational components to your story for people to really believe in it. Storytelling is a core part of product strategy. Like, if you think about the vision, a vision is a story of where you want to be. The strategy is the story of how you get there. This is what I really, really believe in as well, because I know that we talked about soft skills earlier. The soft skills impact and make execution happen. Like, effective storytelling is a key to effective execution. As I've said before, like, the most times where you see disconnects in teams, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but I haven't told me what to do, it's because the story is not aligned across the team. So again, I really emphasize, like, tell your story, reiterate it, get everyone involved, share it, and make sure everyone sort of believes in it and buys into it, because this is then how you start to build good products. This is how you start to execute effectively, and how you start to be a good cross-functional team. Storytelling will give you impact. You need to be able to tell a story to like your stakeholders. What's your product doing? What are the metrics that we're doing? If you tell a good story, you can then inspire and work with like your team members. People will be like, oh yeah, Ignatius has got his stuff. Like, yeah, he's telling a good story. Like, I'm going to go and talk to some clients from him. I'm going to get some like customer feedback from him. And it will help really build your brand as a product manager if you can really tell the story and articulate the value, the outcomes, the opportunities that you've got, and really prove that you can sort of like really inspire people to join you in your journey. And then finally, one of my bosses who worked with said to me, never fall in love with your product. And the way that I've translated this is don't fall in love with your story. Story might be wrong, might not be right. The ending might not work out as you want it to be. You might need to end your product, kill your product, close that chapter, put that book away, get out a new one, and think about a different story and how you iterate it and go on to the future. That's it. I think I've said story 300,000 times. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. Isn't that great that he's speaking in 1.5 speed?
Oh, yes.
You can achieve much more. Thank you very much for this inspiring talk. It's really difficult. I always get requests for more soft skill talks, but it's really hard to have a good one. So thank you very much, Iggy. Thank you. All right, we are moving one step up, one important step up towards speaking about the strategy and how it's expressed in every action that we do, every day action we take, and that there is a strategic space in every level. And Ronnie, the next speaker, has a very impressive record in